views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
You are listening to the Psychic Professors Show, The Voices of Spirit Radio, with international medium and spirit artist Dr. Susan Barnes. This hit call-in show will answer any questions you have about spiritual communication through on-air readings and spirit artistry. Get ready to receive breakthrough wisdom to enliven and enlighten your life. To say this show is educational is an understatement. Dr. Susan is the medium through which spirit communication occurs and fills the canvas of your life.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Susan Barnes, and you are listening to the Psychic Professor Show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, and let us help you experience the voices of spirit. Each week on the Psychic Professor Show, we will have some of the most knowledgeable spiritual voices helping you to answer your questions. And today, I have two very special guests. I have Sheri Perl Migdol and Vicki Talbott, and they are going to be talking about how parents can connect with their children in the spirit world. And with that, I'm going to say welcome to you two ladies.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Sheri to basically tell her story about your son in spirit.
Okay. You want me to start with 2008, or do you want me to start with, that's when he passed, or would you like me to start it all with my own initial interest in spirituality?
No,
or
I
understand.
No, I want to talk about communicate. My focus is on communicating with children. So I want you to tell them the story of what happened with your son.
Okay.
And
Very
go
good.
from there.
Okay. Happy to. Okay. My son, Danny, was 22 years old when he passed of an accidental overdose on July 1, 2008. Now, anyone who's lost a child will tell you it's devastating and heartbreaking. And, it is a very hard thing for most people to recover from. I had a leg up, I have to say. I had a little help because many, many years prior to my son passing, I became involved in studying spirituality with an emphasis on spiritual healing and mediumship. And so I already was a firm believer in the afterlife. So I did not have to first open my mind to that idea. I had also been going to mediums for many years. I studied with Jane Roberts and Seth, who many of the listeners may have heard of. And so none of it was new to me in concept. But that doesn't change the fact that when a beloved child crosses, you are in fact devastated. But it took me all of about 3 days to realize that what I needed to do was to call Glenn Dove's office. He's a very gifted medium in my local area who I had gotten to know over the years working together with him, and just make an appointment and go and sit with him. And 1 week after Danny passed, he came through Glenn, and it's as if we picked up where we'd left off the week before. It was such a clear communication with so many evidential things that Danny said that could never be found in an obituary or in Google. I was had no doubt that my son had come through and was still with me. And so for the first 2 years after Danny passed, very much what I did was go to many different mediums in order to connect up with Danny through many different channels and be assured that it was him no matter who I went to. If the medium was a true medium, Danny always had them laughing their heads off because he had a great sense of humor. And so that was the way I'd gone along. You can connect up with your child in many ways. And I wrote my first book, Lost and Found, a mother connects up with her son in spirit, explaining the many different ways that Dan made his presence known to me from the time he had passed until the book came out. And then I had seen a documentary called Calling Earth, which was made by a man named Dan Drazen, and Vicki, who's sharing the show with me, as you know, is in that movie. And I was very, very taken with the idea of communication with spirits through electronic voice phenomenon. But at the time when I reached out to people's names that I found through the movie to the big circle, it was a time when whoever answered me said at that time they weren't as active and they couldn't really help me, and I kind of dropped the idea. But I run something called the Prayer Registry, which is a free service for all bereaved parents in which each deceased child's name is printed on their passing date on the Prayer Registry calendar. And each year on that passing date, the prayer team, which is made up of all of us parents, direct prayer to the children that are being held in prayer that day. And so Vicki, dear Vicki, had heard me on a radio show talking about the Prayer Registry. And she contacted me to register her son, Braden, for prayer. And we had an instant liking for each other, and we started to get to know each other better. And Vicki started telling me how she had been connecting with her son, Braden, through EVP for something like 15 years at that point, and that she was very involved with the big circle group that I had tried to get involved with. And so Vicki became my mentor and started opening doors for me into understanding that this is real and this can be done. From there, I connected with the folks at the Afterlife Research and Education Institute, and I had my computer specialist guy help me with the directions they have on their website to set my computer up to create the conditions necessary to record EVPs. And from the get-go, my son started coming through like gangbusters, bringing me so much love and so much support and so much evidence that he was still part of our lives, that it took me to a completely stronger and higher level of knowing, a knowing that was beyond anything intellectual and just so emotionally real, that Danny is with me, not only with me, but gives me heads up. And because time doesn't exist in spirit, he will sometimes talk about something in a recording that I play 2 days later, and it's happening then, what he's talking about. It's just been so interesting. At which point, Craig Hogan, who is the president of Afterlife Research and Education Institute, asked me if I would be interested in doing readings for other parents and bringing in a parent via the cell phone. And I had no idea if I could pull this off, but he explained to me that a woman in Brazil, a medium by the name of Sonia Rinaldi, was using the cell phone and kind of setting it up by the recorder, and people were able to converse with their children through the EVP recording. And so I said, yes, I'd like to try it. And at this point, I've done about 135 individual readings, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Well, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. But what I'd like you to do right now is give us the website of your prayer registry.
I'd be happy to. That's just SheriPerl.com. The Migdol is my married name, and Facebook, as we know, kind of likes to put all your names out there. But my books and my prayer registry, most of my work is done under my maiden name, and that's my website, and it's Sheri, SHERI, Perl, PERL, no A, .com, just SheriPerl.com. And
now,
when you get there, yeah.
And people
when you
can
get to
register?
Yes, well, what they can do is when they get to SheriPerl.com, if they look at the search bar on the left-hand side of the page, the first thing on the list is the prayer registry. And if they hit on that, it will bring them to the calendar for this month, and they'll see all the names of the children. And if you scroll down below that, there's a sign-in form. And all they need to do, it will tell them what they need to put in, their email address, their child's full name and passing date. And then I get that notice, and I add their child to the calendar and include them then in getting the daily announcements. I send out an announcement every evening to everyone's email that wishes to be included, letting them know who is due for prayer the next day with a direct link to the prayer sites where we have both an audio and written prayer posted for the children every day. So it's like a little online sanctuary where people can see who's in prayer, read the written prayer I've written out, or play the audio prayer, which is a guided meditation. So it's just a place where each day these deceased children are represented so that no one goes through a prayer. I call it, at the prayer registry, we call the passing date the prayer date. And the idea is that no one should go through a prayer date alone. One of the things we've seen, unfortunately, with bereavement is that very often people forget the passing date of your loved one, or maybe they remember, but they're uptight and they don't know how to deal with it, so they do nothing. And I can't tell you how many parents have said to me, what a blessing the prayer registry has been for them because no one in their family called, and they feel so sad. And this way, there's a sense that year after year after year, many of us are going to see your child's name and at the very least say, here's love to you. And the children come through and report that the energy are like gifts that move them forward wherever they are in their path. They said it's healing light that propels them forward, which means we can still give them a gift. And I think any parent knows how wonderful that feeling is to still be able to do something for your child even if they're not here.
Sheri, that sounds like a wonderful, wonderful support group. And we now need to take a break. This is Dr. Susan Barnes. You're listening to the Psychic Professor Show on Transformation Talk Radio. And when we come back, we will hear Vicki's story about her son, Braden.
Now you can be a part of one of the most powerful programs to help create a more joyful, loving, abundant, and peaceful world. Every day at 12 noon in any time zone, join millions of other people around the world to spend a few minutes in joy, love, and gratitude. Brought to you by Robert Schoenfeld, host of the Art of Powerful Living Radio. Together, we can raise the vibration of the planet. For more information, visit globalmomentofjoy.com.
Have you ever said to a friend, I am trying to be less stressed. I am hoping to meet someone special. Or how about, I am working on getting a job I love. Hi, I'm Eve from Elite Tarot, host of the weekly show Mainstream Metaphysics Radio. Words like hoping, wanting, and trying may seem innocent. However, they carry with them emotional weight that actually blocks energy. Next time you start to say these words, say instead, I am becoming less stressed. I am looking forward to meeting someone special. I am pursuing a job I love. While your brain may resist, note how your body physically feels as possibility of success suddenly appears. As an intuitive coach and professional tarot card reader, I work with clients worldwide on using energy effectively to embrace joy. If you'd like to schedule a session, please visit my website at elitetarot.com. That's ELITETAROT.com.
Gain powerful insight and practical tools to support you on your spiritual journey. Access your higher self and tune in every second and fourth Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific to A Life Untethered with Andrew Martin, Walking the Path of Freedom. Andrew is a highly attuned intuitive oracle, energy worker, spiritual teacher, and international radio host. For more about Andrew and his services, visit thelightones.com.
Discover the healing medicine from the giant monkey tree frog Cambo. Cambo practitioner Ginny Rutherford and professional psychic Todd Rolson have come together for lively discussions of alternative healing medicines from the Amazon. Ginny and Todd bring you Cambo Talk Radio. Tune in each Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear from guests all over the world with real life stories and the medicinal benefits of Kambo. For more information, visit KamboKiss.com.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests.
We're back on the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes. But before we continue on, I want everybody to know that this show is sponsored by the Spirit Art Gallery, and you can find out about the art gallery at www.spiritartgallery.net. And with that said, I'm now going to invite Vicki onto the show so that she can tell us her story about her son, Braden. Vicki?
Well, thank you, Susan. It's so great to be here. Let's see. Braden and I have always had a huge interest in the afterlife, to the point where my first introduction to EVP and ITC in general was when I got my Noetic Sciences Review magazine out of the mailbox in the early 1990s, and there was an article in there written by Mark Macy from worlditc.org. And he, in this article, was discussing the work of Maggie Harsh-Fischbach and Konstantin Raudova. And what really struck me was there was a television image of Friedrich Jürgensen that was included in the article, and there was information about television, visual ITC appearances and audio messages, written messages on computers and whatnot. And Braden and I were fascinated, so we tried EVP using analog recorder. And we heard what we thought were voices and were amazed, but, at that time we didn't have the wherewithal to isolate the sounds, and this was before the internet and all of that. But we were just so excited that we'd heard something. Then, years and years pass, and Braden happens to pass himself in March of 2001. He was out kayaking with his best friend, Jim Robinson, and they were in separate kayaks. They went out, and they were only going to be gone for an hour, and I'm there. Okay, you guys stay by the shore, get your life vests on, and they're looking at me like I'm a nutcase, the overly protective mother. An hour later, I'm wondering, where's Braden? 2 hours later, 3 hours later, and at that point, your mother's intuition kicks in, and, sure enough, they were lost at sea. There was a long search, and, finally, it just turned into trying to rescue, and then just, okay, we're not going to find these guys. So we did find their kayaks and found Braden's hat, which I still have, thank goodness. But the kayaks had floated like 10 miles away down to the mouth of the Nooksack River, and their bodies were never recovered. Well, of course, as Sheri says, you're devastated. I did a few of the medium things and felt like, I was connecting with Braden, but about 5 months or so after Braden passed, he started leaving me messages on my answering machine. Now, he knows I never answered the phone when he was around alive anyway, so, what better way than to continue to leave me messages on the answering machine. And his answering machine voice to me was, Mom, pick up the phone. And then when I wouldn't, he'd have this embarrassed sound of, and then he'd hang up. So these messages came one right after the other, just like days apart. Mom, was the first one. Second one was pick up the phone. And the third one was, and it was just so obvious that, I couldn't believe it. And in fact, he then left a little ditty. He was a hip hop guy, extemporaneous rapper extraordinaire. And he left a little rap for me. And that one I actually played for my husband. And he had his ear close to the phone, listening. And there was a lamp hanging above the phone. And he flew backwards, struck the lamp, and landed on his behind. He was so shocked. So anyway, after that, I started looking into things like spirit photography and looking on the internet for any kind of information about telephone calls from the dead. And I ran into the American Association for Electronic Voice Phenomenon site, which was the AAEVP site. And there I found the Big Circle. And the Big Circle was founded by Karen Mossy and Martha Copeland. Karen Mossy's son and Martha's daughter had passed into spirit, and they were receiving EVP messages. So I finally got up the gumption to join, and when I did, I was floored because they had all received messages about Braden and from Braden before I had even joined the Big Circle.
That's amazing.
So they started, it was amazing. They all started sharing all of these messages. We kept getting Braden this and Braden that, and we did not know who this was. So I was, like I said, I was floored, and I looked at all of this and I listened to all of them and I thought, well, now here we go again. This is something that everybody else can do, but I can't. So I went out and bought my digital recorder, and it sat in the closet unopened for a couple of months because, I just didn't have the confidence. And when I finally started to record, I went by the book. Tom Butler and Lisa Butler have been the best mentors that anyone could ever ask for, and Martha and Karen as well. And they all gave me support and help. And, the first time I tried receiving EVP, I did it the way they told me to, the 2 recorders, no noise, turn them on, leave them sit there for about 5 minutes, turn them off, and then listen to each one. And if you hear something anomalous, listen very carefully. The first one had nothing on it. The second one, I was about ready to break into tears. Nothing. Until the very end, as I was walking to pick up the recorders, Braden said clearly in his own voice, "Pick those up." Well, that started me on the road.
So that's how you started with the EVPs. And I think the other point that I want to make for both of you is the fact that you use the EVPs to help other parents connect with their children. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes. So then I became a big part of the Big Circle, along with Karen and Martha and other mothers and fathers and practitioners. And I ended up becoming what they called a certified proxy practitioner, which means that the mothers could contact anyone or all of us and ask us to, do sessions for them. And we did that for several years.
Okay. Now, is there a way for someone listening to be able, who's lost a child, to be able to contact you to try to use the EVP?
Yes, they can.
Well, are you talking about okay, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Vicki.
Yes. So I mentioned the AAEVP, which has since changed names. It is now Association Transcommunication. There is a wealth of information there, but also information on the Big Circle there. The website is atransc.org.
Want to repeat that?
ATRANSC.org. atransc.org. atransc.org.
Okay, great. And then, Sheri, the other way is through your prayer registry. Is that correct?
Well, they can reach me through the prayer registry, absolutely. If they want to register their child, then I send out a welcome letter to their email, at which point people can get back to me and say, I'm very interested in a reading. I have a huge list of names, and I don't charge for my reading. So it's a huge list. But I will put anyone's name on there that wants to be added, of course, and do the very best I can to connect, bring them in through the cell phone, and we do a reading.
That sounds wonderful. And I'm sure there might be some people here that are interested in that. Do you want to give us the address of the prayer registry again?
Well, you would just go to my website, which is sheriperl.com, SHERIPERL.com. And on the welcome page, you'll see there's my photograph. You'll know you got to the right place. And on the left-hand side of the page, there is a column, a list of links, and the top one says the prayer registry. So you hit on that link, and you'll see the calendars, and go to the very bottom of the page, and there's a form where you can fill in the information needed, and then that form gets sent to me, and I print the child's name on the calendar, and then get back to the parent with all the information. So it is definitely a way to get in touch with me.
Thank you very, very much. And we're about to go on to a break right now. And I'm just going to say you're listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes. My guests are Sheri Perl Migdol and Vicki Talbott. And we're talking about communicating with your children in the afterlife. So stay tuned for more information. And if someone wants to call with a question, the number is 800-930-2819. That's 800-930-2819. And we'll be back in a minute.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Basile, the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am so thrilled that we've created this venue for all of you out there.
Dr. Pat Basile will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
What we have heard is that you want to ensure for us that we keep positive, holistic, uplifting, transformative talk radio on the air. We're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease.
We promise not to let the light fade on Lyme.
So fasten your seatbelts. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat and help keep our mission strong on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Hi there, this is Audrey Michelle, host of Rewired Life Radio. If you've listened to the show, you know I talk a lot about listening to your body. Here's the deal. Listening to your body takes quieting your mind, and I want to teach you how. Actually, we're going to start right now. Take a deep breath, a truly deep breath, all the way to the top of your inhale, and then exhaling to the very bottom of your belly. Breathing, feeding your body the oxygen and fuel it needs. This is the first step in listening to your body. There's more, but it's so easy. I want to share a quick meditation with you to help you instantly reconnect with yourself and listen to your body. Simply go to audreymichelle.com/tips and download it for free today. That's Audrey Michelle, spelled MICHEL.com/tips.
Are you struggling in a relationship and deeply craving some tools and support to get things back on track? Do you crave having a loving, compassionate relationship with Mr. Right, but always seem to pick Mr. Wrong? Well, Sarah Luce can help. She's created a 4-week online course starting September 28th that will teach you how to shift your energy and behavior to have new transformative outcomes. And you're going to get a personal one-on-one session with Sarah to ensure you get powerful, personal results. Sign up today at sarahluce.com.
We're back on the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes, and we are talking to Vicki Talbott and Sheri Perl Migdol. And now what we're going to do is have Vicki explain a little bit what is EVP and how does it work, and if you get an EVP reading, what should you expect? Vicki?
Okay, so let's just start with the definitions, the basic definitions. So you may have heard of ITC and may not quite know the difference between ITC and EVP and trans-audio communication and any other number of ways to refer to this. So let's start with the umbrella term, instrumental transcommunication. What that means is that you are receiving anomalous messages through and stored by technical means. So TV, radio, analog or digital recorders, computers, phones, cameras. This is both visual and audio. So that's kind of the overall term. And then we get down to what Sheri and I are sharing today, and that is the electronic voice phenomenon, which is specific to the audio and does not include the video. Although Braden did come through on the TV one night in the middle of the night. They turned the TV on and started talking to me. I don't know if I want to say that to everybody because you're going to think I'm nuts. But anyway, okay, electronic voice phenomenon. That, again, is the anomalous voice or other messages that are received on or produced by any kind of technical device or software program. This could be a tape recorder, a phone, a radio, such as direct voice radio, which Annabella Cardoso does, or radio sweep, or computer. And this would include things like non-vocal background sounds or vocal background sounds that are introduced for spirit manipulation. If you want to get further information on the basics, I suggest you go to atransc.org or worlditc.org. You will find the history and all of the information that you need there. Now, in terms of, there are many different ways to record for EVP. There are basically two different types of EVP, and we talk about them in terms of type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is transform EVP. Transform EVP is that type of EVP that comes without any vocal input provided. So that would be like the pick those up example that I gave you earlier. It could also be the type of recording where some sort of ambient noise is introduced, such as a fan. I've used my washer and dryer in the past. You can use just about anything as long as it's not too annoying and it's non-vocal. The type 2, on the other hand, the input sound is typically some kind of a vocal sound. So it would include, it could even include crowd babble. You could be walking down the street and there could be voices around and you could try to get EVP. But more often than not, it includes some type of prefab type gibberish file or foreign language file, something like that. And there's a specific way for people to to utilize those type of vocal sources. So basically, type 1, non-vocal, type 2, vocal. And then you get into, how do we classify these EVP? Well, in a nutshell, you've got Class A, Class B, and Class C. A Class A EVP is evident without explanation. You could play it to anybody on any given day, in any kind of mood, and they're going to hear the same thing. Class B may require some direction, so you may have to give a little bit of prompting, maybe not even much. A Class C, then, on the other hand, may be so vaguely experienced that, you're not able to make it out even if the practitioner or the recorder, the person doing the recording says, this is what it says. You still can't hear it. It's mostly obscured by the noise, whatever, noise you're hearing. So those are the classifications of EVP. So we've talked about type 1, type 2. We've got the classification system outlined. The other thing that we need to remember about EVP is that the voices differ in pitch and sound volume. I'm talking mostly about transform EVP now here, but it also applies in terms of stress, intonation, and other factors with vocal-based type 2 EVP. The voices will differ in pitch and sound volume from ordinary voices. And the voices exhibit some kind of an unaccustomed rhythm, pitch, intensity, and sometimes the way they express themselves based on the sounds available to them may sound a bit odd, so grammatically odd, or some kind of a strange mode of expression. So this means that even Class A EVP, because it does have these characteristics, can be difficult for the non-EVPer, if you will, to hear.
That's a very good point. I just have to go back a minute here to the fact that you first started hearing Braden's voice over the telephone. And this is a story that I have heard many times from other people, is that they have gotten phone calls from their deceased loved ones. So I would just add that many different technologies are being used today to communicate with the spirit world, including television, computers, telephone, and all of the EVP. So
now, interestingly enough, the telephone EVP does not follow those same the difficulty in understanding and analysis that I just mentioned, the voices differing in pitch and exhibiting unaccustomed rhythm. My telephone EVP, at any rate, is crystal clear and as if they are leaving a voice message.
Yes, that's what other people have reported to me, is that they actually hear the voice of the person from the afterworld right there on their telephone. And sometimes
can I jump in here? And
sorry. Go ahead.
It does happen with other types of.
What, Sheri?
It does happen as well with other types of EVP, is what I was going to say.
And I was going to jump in and say that, the phone EVPs, because Daniel is up to that now himself, come spontaneously. I will look at my phone, I'll be texting Vicki, and all of a sudden I'll see an icon saying that someone sent a recording, and Vicki will say, "Did you send me a recording?" And I'll say, "No, did you send me one?" And lo and behold, there's an EVP. Or my phone rings and a voicemail is left, but there's no voicemail message, but there's EVPs. Those come spontaneously. Danny, I'm not setting up the conditions to ask for it to happen. They come through on their own. The other way of working is when we create the conditions, such as putting on your fan, if that works for you, purposely putting it on so you're creating sound, because in essence, what Friedrich Jürgensen learned so many years ago when he was a filmmaker and he was recording the sound of birds for a soundtrack of a movie. When he played back in his studio, the recording he made, he heard human voices. What we have learned is that spirit can use concentration and thought to affect sound and change it into sounds that will be audible and recognizable to us.
Yes,
so,
that is true, but Jürgensen's EVP was transformed. He was out recording for birds, but the EVP was not formed by the bird voices. The EVP came in between bird sounds.
Right, but did
so
they
the
not
EVP
make use of the bird sounds?
Well, let me jump in.
He was transformed in nature.
Let me just jump in here for a second. My understanding, and just tell me whether I'm correct or not, because we have to go on a break, is that there are background noises here, but that's just kind of away. But the voices that you get from spirit are different voices. Maybe they use some of the sounds in the EVP.
Jürgensen's EVP was type 1.
Right. He didn't use vocals, but he did use sound. Oh, yes, I'm not saying you have to use a human vocal. I'm saying if we provide them with sound.
He did not use the bird sound. He didn't use the bird sound.
Oh, what sound did he use? Those sounds?
His EVP was transform EVP, so he was not using any vocal background. The birds were in.
Oh, I know he wasn't. The bird, they had nothing to do with creating sound that was used by spirit.
No, he was out there purposely taping bird songs, and he was startled.
No, I understand.
When he played the tape back.
No, I understand that, but you think that if there were not birds, if he was in a silent room,
ladies,
we
have to take a break. Okay, we can discuss this more on break, and we are listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes. And we're talking about communicating with your children in the afterlife. And when we come back, Sheri's going to tell us about her workshops at the Afterlife Conference in September. So,
woo.
Yeah, woo. We'll take a break.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Do you ever feel as if you're working twice as hard but only getting half as far? Are you trying to connect with your path in life and finding it elusive? Mainstream Metaphysics Radio is a weekly call-in show where we harness our connection with the universe and use what is in our power to affect change for optimal success and happiness. This hit show bridges the divide between what is and what we do not know. Eve, named one of the country's top psychics, also known as the MBA Psychic, invites you on this journey for this live call-in show with readings, featured guests, leaders, and visionaries in both business and spiritual callings. So join Eve Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com as she takes metaphysics mainstream. For more information about Eve, visit EliteTarot.com. That's EliteTarot.com.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Justice Welling. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
The Angel Lady TheAngelLady.net. 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 1-800-323-1790. 1-800-323-1790. Sue Storm. TheAngelLady.net.
Live your magnificence, for the love of joy is a precious gift offered to us by Robert Schoenfeld, host of the Art of Powerful Living Radio. He takes us on an incredible 30-day adventure to expand our minds and hearts with the nectar of life, love, and joy. This book will help you bring more joy, love, health, abundance, adventure, romance, and magnificence into your life.
We're back on the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes, and we're talking about how you can use technology to enable parents to communicate with their children in the afterlife. So, with that said, I'm going to ask Sheri to please come in and tell us what she's going to be doing at the Afterlife Conference in September.
I'd be happy to. First, let me say that I am able to procure EVPs from my son through Transform and through Vote, through all the different means that are available that I know of. Danny will work with. And I judge the value of the EVPs based on the evidence of what they say, if they ring true. As you would judge any reading with any medium, if it makes sense, if it's evidential, I count it as having value no matter how I procured it, whether through Transform, non-transform. I know to a lot of people those definitions are very important. To me, if I get a connection that makes complete sense and warms someone's heart, I would be happy if it came through any of the many means. That said, the program that I will be teaching at the symposium is designed to help people get their computers configured to begin to record EVPs on their own using a system where they do provide sound and they do record. It's not the spontaneous where it just comes through your phone, although it's wonderful once you get started. A lot of those things start happening. But this is a program where we are actually telling people to bring their laptops with them if they want to take this program, because it's a workshop that will be meeting for 2 hours, 2 days in a row. And we will go through step by step for both PCs and Mac users, every step necessary to just get the basics set up to begin your exploration of EVP. Well, what happened is that there are directions, and there are directions at, I'm sure, many other sites than the AREI one, but I went to the AREI website because I knew the site, I knew the people, and I went to their directions, but I couldn't really get there on my own. I have a computer fellow who works for me, though, who came over and went through the directions, and when he left, I was able to provide sound, put on the recorder, play my sound, put on the recorder, ask my son a question, and then wait while the recorder ran and the sound ran. And then when I finished recording, I could play the recording back, and I would hear things like, "Mom, it's me, Dan. Hi, it's me, Dan." And so what I did not realize that there was a little bit more complication to the process of getting set up the way I was, because Josh, my computer guy, had done it, and that's what he does for a living. So when Craig Hogan of AREI asked if I would teach what it was I had done to get started, I said I would be glad to. And then I sat down and tried to figure out what we had done, and I didn't have a clue. So I hired Josh to help make a program that would work for both PC and Mac users with a screenshot of absolutely every step necessary that I would not have known offhand, so that when we're in the workshop, we will take people through the steps that I used to get myself started. It will be the basics so that you will be able to play sound and make a recording, save the recordings as MP3s, play the sound back in the sound program that will allow you to hear it, and have it in a program where you'll be able to slow it down if you need to, raise the volume if you need to, things of that nature. As Vicki says, to make an analysis of it, you need to go through the recording step by step. So we also download a recording program in which you can highlight half a second at a time if you want to, and go through. It's a very slow process, but very rewarding. So what I intend to do in the workshop is get people up and running. Once they get up and running where they understand the process, I hope they will experiment, because through Vicki, I have learned how to procure what the transform EVP, meaning I don't need to play human gibberish. I can play different sound sources, from my fingers scratching on something to I get very nice EVPs by recording the water going down the drain in my bathtub. When I'm done with the bath, I leave the water until I can get my computer. I come back in and put my computer on the recording program. I push record and I pull the plug, and as the water goes out, I record. When I play back, I hear messages. It sounds like the drain is taught. It has the sound of water. It's affected by the sound source you play, but there are unspeakably words that are not in the sound of water going down the drain. So I will encourage people, once they get the basics down pat, to branch into experimenting. The other night I got what I call cricket EVPs. I recorded outside, and there were crickets, and when I came back in the house, the cricket sounds were loaded with messages. So my idea is to just help people get started, because had I not had a computer specialist set me up, it would have been very hard for me to just take directions from a website. So this program's devised to take even people who feel they're not very computer literate and get them to a point where they can start providing sound, providing the conditions in which EVP can happen. And that's just step one. From there, I believe many of them will branch out into many different ways of recording. But what I will teach is like the step one beginner step to get launched.
That sounds wonderful. Yes, because there are a lot of people that are not as technologically savvy. And I'll just have to tell you my EVP story. We did EVP here in the gallery, art gallery, and we had about 30 people, and we were using a program that did have words on it, had sounds on it. And what happened was that after we got a message, we heard knocking, like, the rapping from the Fox sisters, and that was a sound that was not on the EVP. And the guy who wrote the EVP program said, impossible.
Right,
but
yeah, sure.
There it is, loud and clear.
Can I comment on that?
know something?
If I could comment on that quickly, some of these, you can find transform EVP in between some of these. If the gibberish, for example, is not constant, if it's just like a blurp here and a blurp there, and there's a lot of silent space, the EVP that you get in that silent space has nothing to do with the vocals that you've introduced. It is transform in nature.
Yeah.
So it's like Jurgensen and his birds. The EVP had nothing to do with the birds. It came in a silent space. It was transform or type 1 in nature.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened with us. And I have to thank you, ladies, very much for being with me today and explaining EVP. We have now run out of time, and I just want to tell everyone, that you've been listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes, and you can find more information out about the Afterlife Conference if you go to my website at www.spiritartgallery.net. And I do have a poster up there about the conference. The conference is in September. I know the hotel's booked already, but if you're interested in going, you can find information at my website. So thank you both very much for being with me today.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Yes, I'll be back next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
You've been listening to the Psychic Professor Show with Dr. Susan Barnes, the Voices of Spirit Radio. Dr. Barnes' deep knowledge of spiritual issues provides an hour of lively talk and discussion about everything from historical facts to transcommunication. To download this show or any past shows, or to learn more about Dr. Susan and her spirit-inspired art, visit spiritartgallery.net.